know you don't know this reference, but there's an Instagram site called Humans of New York, which is
An Instagram
site.
Site.
You know, Instagram is a bunch of individual. Everyone can have an individual. You could even have an Instagram site. It's easy. It takes like a half a second to do, to start an Instagram.
I don't want it.
I know. I'm just saying. And there's an Instagram site where there's this called Humans of New York, and the person takes photographs of people in New York and then like has them recount their stories about like how they came to be who they are.
I have my friend Bill Bollinger, his son-in-law has one of those things on the Jersey coast.
There you go.
And he takes photographs of them.
Yeah. And then
they tell their story.
Yeah, he puts a story in on the Instagram.
I did that, and
You did what?
with him.
Oh, uh-huh.
He said, I'll edit it and all that. But I told him, we were talking, I told him some very personal things about, being molested and all. He put that in the...
He put it online?
Yes.
In recording, or he put it on as a type?
A biography.
Bio.
He wrote.
He didn't give you... Okay, well...
And I called him and told him to take it off.
Good.
Okay, I can hardly tell. I'm very, very blind.
You're very what? Blind? Well, that's fine.
Yes, so I
I'm the
can
one who has to
hardly
do the
tell
looking.
you're doing anything.
Okay.
You look like a Monet in pastel
We're
colors.
just talking.
Just talking.
Walking.
Talking. You know what I'm talking. Yeah. So.
I've been feeling a lot of pressure lately to make the drawings look like people, because a lot of people, they look at the drawing I do for them and say it makes them look like they're really old, because I tend to use a lot of lines.
Well, then you're in the right category. I am old, really
right,
old.
there you go. So you may get the linear treatment rather than I've been using tones, like using a sort of like watercolor brush, not watercolor, but everything's digital these days.
Yeah.
To recreate tones, but I normally like use lines. So you may get the linear treatment, or maybe I'll do the linear treatment and the tonal treatment, because I can sort of make a copy.
Okay. Whatever you say, I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Did this fellow who did the Humans of New York, did he put your name up?
Yes, he did.
Really?
They put all their name. Yeah, the whole name.
And the photograph.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
And the photograph is good, and my story is interesting enough.
Yeah, of course. But it's not about just being interesting. I mean, I think that in terms of making art, like, what's the point of making it?
Oh, well, I don't even know if he thought about it as art.
Really?
It's just a photograph.
Oh.
I don't know. Journalism, perhaps. I don't know.
Journalism? But what's the point of journalism?
To convey, mainly by words,
Right.
some truth or idea.
Speaking of which, I was listening to a podcast last night. I don't know if you listen, but you probably don't listen to podcasts.
No, I've never seen a podcast.
You don't see me listen to them because they're just audio.
I see. But I do consult the YouTube sometimes.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't know you didn't use the article.
The YouTube?
Yes.
No, I don't know if they ever called it the YouTube. But
I
they
have
used to
a
call
friend-
it the Facebook.
Oh, you did?
It used to be called the Facebook when it
Oh.
first started.
Oh,
But then
really?
they dropped the, so
I
it's now
see,
just
yeah.
Facebook.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah. Anyhow, this podcast was all, they had this person from the former intelligence community in America talking about the whole war with Russia, and I thought about you and, what you were saying about the Russia war with Ukraine and all that sort of stuff.
There's something very suspicious about it.
It is very suspicious. I don't know, why is he losing? It seems like he's losing somehow.
Which makes me think that it's
Something
a
else going
whole
on?
farce, that it's a cover-up for something else that somebody else is doing.
Like what?
I can't imagine.
I mean, like Iran and their nuclear program?
I don't know what it is. But he's certainly putting our focus
on him and that.
on the war.
Yeah, on the war, yeah. Or you think you might be like doing something else, like...
Well, there are enough Russian soldiers, and every man is a Russian soldier.
No, no, they're all leaving apparently, right?
move in to the Ukraine and have 2 soldiers per person in
Really?
Ukraine. Of course they could do that. And you know, this idea that their tanks don't work and I don't believe it. The subways work, their clocks work, their airline service works. Of course, it's all somehow a deception, but I have no idea what it's about. And I thank goodness I don't need to.
Yes, me too. I'm so glad that I'm not living in Ukraine.
I don't think about that outside chaotic, cruel world.
Oh, yeah?
Luckily, I
Ever?
don't have to.
Or once in a while?
Very little. Sometimes when it hits me in the face,
Uh-huh.
like the confusion up at school, because technology has confused things instead of organized things. To my mind, for instance, for when I began to teach, they'd send me my schedule and the students and the room number, and that was it.
Right.
And now you have to go to this and you have to go to that, and
I hear you.
yeah, and
Right.
and the information's always wrong, and the are out of date, and none of the students on the roster are there.
That's a problem.
It is, and the thing, you know how we're supposed to do that? We're supposed to look inward, focus on myself.
Uh-huh.
I question, why does it upset me so much? You know, I don't need their money,
No, I know you don't.
and I don't need any of that. And I don't understand why. I know, understand that there's nothing to be afraid of, there's nothing to be angry about. But I am angry, and I guess partly fearful. Maybe fearful of the overall idea of our civilization, the world, changing into a technology world.
It is a technology world.
That the human mind is being absorbed into machines that
It
the
is.
human made.
It is true. Artificial intelligence. Like
Yes.
Ken Villar's
That
recent
scared me
painting.
to death.
Did it?
You know how you can do that thing and blow up part of the picture.
Oh, zoom
Yeah,
in.
all the slaves are him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're all. You don't get to see the face, but they're all built.
Right.
like him.
Well, everyone draws them. I mean, I always, when I'm drawing a figure, in my mind, it's always 5'7", my build. That's just, I think.
I
the
thought it was
ratio.
5'2" eyes of blue.
No, on mine 5'7", my build.
I see. Okay, what rhymes with 7? No, 5'7", going to heaven.
Going to heaven.
Okay, going to heaven, going to heaven, going to shout. So
I mean, more and more and more technology is completely shaping the world. I mean, like, there's this woman who I went to school with who's posting pictures on Instagram. I mean, so she uses artificial intelligence to come up with. She says, okay, make a house that's based on mushrooms, and AI just spits out designs for houses. It's like, I'm not sure how I'm going to fit into all this.
I'm sure you've. I think we talked about it last time about kids in their late teens, early 20s. When was the United States founded?
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I saw that. First of all, their memory is shot because somewhere in school they've been told when the country was founded, and the other thing is their ability to calculate is gone.
Yeah, who?
How
I don't
many dimes
calculate
in a
anymore.
dollar?
Well,
You
I
know,
hear
that kind of thing. But it's the same process with whatever you're calculating. You do it on a machine instead of in your head now.
Yeah, I mean, I totally depend on my software to do all my calculations. It's easier for me to open my software and make a drawing of something than it is for me to sit down and do the math.
I've started this. I discovered, you know, I write for a
You still
newspaper
do the
and a
right,
magazine, and I used to turn on the machine and just start writing,
Yeah.
and that isn't how writing is done.
No, you're supposed to
So
think
this
first.
new one is, I don't look at the machine at all.
Uh-huh.
I speak the first sentence aloud, and then I write it down when it's thought out and ready to be put on something.
You know who Robert Caro is, right?
Robert who?
Caro.
No.
He wrote a book on Robert Moses. That was sort of like a takedown of Robert Moses called
That's
The Power
the guy
Broker.
that built all the highways
Yeah.
through the ghettos. And
Yeah.
things, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Well,
gave the
going
park
over
a
the-
merry-go-round. Yeah.
Yeah, he was racist. That was one of the things that. Anyhow, Robert Caro writes everything out hand. He's written, in addition to this Moses book, he's written a 5-volume history of Leonard LBJ. He writes out everything by hand, and then he types it up.
Isn't that a dangerous drug? If you take LBJ,
You know, you just
then
fuck
you
with
have
me.
all sorts of
You were
hallucinations.
alive when LBJ was president.
Yes, I was.
Was I? I think I was. My first few months of my life was when LBJ was president.
I was alive when Roosevelt was president.
Franklin.
Yes.
Well, you were a depression baby, eh?
Yeah, my mother looked at me and she went into a depression.
No,
yeah.
that's not nice. Probably not untrue, but
Yeah.
my mother started drinking heavily after I was born.
After you were born.
Yeah.
My mother tried to kill herself while I was in her stomach.
Really?
Yes. And that's why I think I have
Yeah.
those waves of depression.
Yeah, I hear you. There's a book out there I've been reading that's actually I find very helpful. You may not like it. It's called The Body Keeps the Score. It's about how trauma and things like that can stay in your body, not just in your body, but it affects your limbic system
Yes,
chemically.
I believe all.
And then even passes down to the next generation because there's sort of DNA and it affects your like RNA. I don't know. It's just it's pretty interesting.
I'm sure it's a ripple effect thing. I believe that.
So I'm trying to sort of stop it with Etienne, but he's gonna have something.
How is he? Does he seem like a happy
Yeah,
kid?
he seems like he's well adjusted.
Wonderful.
Like me. I mean, it wasn't all like what I was like. He's got friends.
Uh-huh.
He's part of the in crowd.
And he trusts you.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he trusts me.
Yeah.
I've never given him any reason not to trust me. I don't
Well,
think.
isn't that wonderful?
Yeah. Well, I have yelled at him a couple times. Like when he's not taking the time to when he's not putting his shoes on in time to get out of the building in the morning,
Yeah.
which he does.
How long is this going to take?
This drawing?
Yeah.
I don't know, like 10, 20 minutes. Why? You bored already?
No. Just wondered.
I'm immortalizing you. That's the right word.
I got that as that makes me, I look at that and it looks younger every time I look at it.
That's because it does look younger.
That's because
That's because you're getting older, brother.
Yeah.
It's happened to all of us.
Mm-hmm.
I drew some portraits of myself last summer that I just like, oh my God, do I really look like that?
It is incredible. And also I think, about my life, did I do all that stuff?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. My old man, before he died, I was telling him, you know what, he regretted. I told you the story, but I haven't told you this detail yet. He's like, he was very surprised that no one gave a shit about his work anymore. Like no one, all the work that he did, all those hours he'd spent working, like it meant nothing. Nobody cared a whit about that. And he was. I think he was very shocked about that. I think he'd spent so many years working and thinking that was what was important, and but he found out too late that it was not.
And as one ages even, one becomes less and less important. And then after you're dead, then the process speeds up. Because how many...
After you're dead, you're dead.
But how many people do you know that lived in the 1400s?
Zero. None.
Well,
Aquinas, maybe. Columbus, Aquinas.
Yeah.
Not that I knew them, but...
Yeah, but all of those millions and millions of people are absolutely as if they never happened.
With loves and hates and passions just like mine. They were born and then they lived and then they died. It's so unfair, I want to cry. That's a song.
Oh my God.
It's about going to the cemetery and writing songs.
Yeah.
Anyhow. You would like that. I may, you may wouldn't like it. You would like it. 'Cause if you, in your heart of hearts, you might like it. Just like you like things on the YouTube.
I
Sometimes.
do.
Yeah.
I love to listen to
Some funny
the
shit.
gospel stuff.
Oh yeah? Is that what it is? You listen to gospel stuff?
I listen to the Happy Goodmans sing I Found a Better Way. I don't know why it thrills me. It's a televangelist kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And the
Say, "Baby."
one woman that sings in it, you know, they like the big hair. She has this thing of hair that is
Like a beehive
taller.
hairdo?
No, it's kind of braided, but with thick
Ah, okay,
braids.
okay.
But it's obviously a hat. You know, I mean, it's obviously
Oh, I mean,
not
it's
her.
an addition.
Yes. And
Augmented
she
hair.
sing this, oh, don't look for me to be just like I used to be. I'm not like that anymore. I found a better way.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know why the turban doesn't fall off, but they
That's
probably
because
glue
it's
it
pinned
on.
on, man.
I'm sure. Yeah.
There's a women artist named Valerie June. She's got this big hair.
Valerie June?
Valerie June. And it's real
female
hair. It's
artiste.
real hair. She's
Really?
an artist,
Wow.
yeah. Stephanie and I went to see her perform at the Beacon Theater. We should have invited you, but I don't think you would have liked it.
No, I wouldn't have.
It's like banjo and twang. It's a little twangy. You like this?
I like the twangy stuff.
Yeah, it's a little
Darling, say that you'll be mine.
Right.
In our home, we'll happy be. I love that.
Yeah. She's she's definitely got that in her repertoire.
Uh-huh. But you called her, when you say artist, I always think graphic of some kind.
No, she's
A
a musical artist. Yeah,
I see.
I know that's not always something that you have very clear distinctions about what makes an artist in terms of
Oh,
music.
yeah, I'm so opinionated.
It's okay, whatever. How often are you writing those articles?
I write for the Epoch Times. I haven't been writing. I wrote a very, very wonderful article on Robert Schumann. I have a series called Truth Tellers.
Look at that.
And I wrote a very beautiful article on Robert Schumann, and she rejected it.
Oh,
Oh.
who's she? The eternal mother?
Oh, Sharon Kilarski. She's the art editor of the arts section.
Uh-huh.
She's a
The
wonderful
art section?
person.
What, at New York Times or the
Epoch Times.
Okay, Epic
Yeah.
Times. That's the Chinese.
You know, it
paper,
has
right?
a half a million subscribers just in the United States. It's not. No, it's not. She's a Roman Catholic. They're in sympathy with
The Chinese? No, who?
some of the Protestant Chinese groups that are being persecuted, but and they have an Asian following, but
But I thought the Epic Times was a Chinese paper for some reason. Is it not?
no,
Oh,
it's an
okay.
American paper.
Okay. What's it mean? Who does it? Is it a?
It's a conservative paper
Okay.
where it's the
Like
old values,
Tucker Carlson sort of old values.
that kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
Yes, and one of the things I have on my to-do slate is I'm going to interview that rather famous what's his name? He's more famous than Tucker Carlson. He's Ben Shapiro. Is that something Shapiro?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't follow those circles very much. I just know
Uh-huh.
Tucker Carlson because he gets a lot of press.
Yeah, I like what he has to say,
Tucker
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson?
Yeah.
We sure we're talking about the same person here?
Yes.
Because-
he's a very Republican.
He's not just probably he's a rabid like Trumpian.
Yeah. I think they're all crooks, but I think
Some of them
Trump.
are more charismatic than others.
I think that say Biden, to me, is
What?
from all I've heard, is an ineffective politician, but he knows how to make money. But anyway,
For who?
for
Himself?
himself
Oh, okay.
and his family, siphoning it through relatives and things.
Right.
But,
Tucker, I mean Hunter and all that.
Hunter, oh yeah, but he, as far as Trump goes, I think he's a crook too. He doesn't pay people. He cheats on his taxes and all that stuff. However, I remember him building the skating rink,
Yeah,
which they were working on for 17 years.
yeah, and they couldn't get anything done. And
He did it in 6 months.
right,
Yeah.
what the story I heard was that he said, "Look, I'll do this for you, but I'm free from all New York City regulations," and that's why he was able to get it done in 6 months, because he didn't use any of the New York City building codes, which is not the building codes, but he didn't like all the regulations you have to do for contracting and that sort of stuff. I'm not that's not a judgmental thing, like he's therefore fucked up. I'm just saying that's why he was able to get it done, because he made that deal. I'll get this done, but I don't have to like.
Well,
follow
that's it. He's good at making deals.
He is.
And
Art of the deal.
I think he's, pulled every trick he can.
He has,
Uh-huh.
pretty much.
But I remember when he began to run, and
He talked about the Mexicans.
the leftists started talking about, all of a sudden, that Russia was a threat. And
Russia's always
Russia
been a threat,
was
right?
no longer a threat.
Oh, no, that's true. So
And-
they do have all those nukes.
Well, yes, but that's because we've got nukes pointed at them, at their border. Anyway, so he said, well, I think it would be a good idea if we tried to do business with Russia instead of have a war with Russia. And I thought, yes, I think that's true. But anyway, my guess is he is an egocentric to the ultimate degree.
Trump.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not
But-
it's not a surprise.
Not a surprise. I think what he's trying to do is not make more money and get more powerful. That would be nice too. But mainly to be put down as a historical figure in the stature of Napoleon or Lincoln or something like that. That he wants to go down as a great hero of history. And I think that's why he was planning to put this country back together financially. And he knew how to do it. But it was all absolutely against the establishment who was doing
What was he
everything.
doing that was putting the country together financially?
Well, our inflation rate didn't go up, for one.
It's going up now. You're saying that that's a bad policy, that it's going up now.
Well,
But,
it's
you know, a lot of
certainly
people say that.
bad policy for me,
Right, well, it's for me too.
yeah.
Although it's worse for the rich people
Oh, I
who
don't know.
hold all the debt.
They're richer.
Yeah, I guess not.
And
We shouldn't be worried
I'm
about the rich
sure
people.
with those rich people with the billions, if our currency collapses, which it probably will, it's inflating at such a rate. It's not like the Weimar Republic, but it's scary right now that all the answer to everything is make more money, print more money, which isn't worth anything. And if people collectively agree that the money isn't worth anything, it won't be worth anything. And then we're all fucked over. That's why I bought a lot of gold.
That's smart.
Yeah,
I actually was on the way home the other night. I thought maybe I should go get some gold.
yeah. Well, there's another sign that they keep the price of gold down, the feds do, so that we don't panic.
So the rich people can buy it.
No, well, maybe, but so that the physical world does not panic. However, I went in to buy 2 ounces of gold. You're allowed to buy 2 ounces a
At a
month.
time or what?
At a month.
Oh,
And I went in, I said, I would like 2 ounces of gold. And she said, oh, we can only sell you 1.
because
No, because the government does not allow them to sell 2 anymore. The government allows them
you
to
present
sell
it like
1.
your passport or what?
You
to
don't
buy-
have to do anything like that.
Or how do they know you've been there into that month already?
You don't.
You don't. They don't.
No.
Okay.
So anyway, that is how the feds are dealing with our running to gold. They advertise it at a moderate price. However, you can only buy a little bit.
So you've been stockpiling yours,
Yes, I have.
putting it by.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, well, shouldn't
So in
broadcast
case
that
you
too
ever
loud.
need a loan for a cheeseburger, you know who to come to, Uncle Raymond.
You'd finance my non-vegan lifestyle.
you
I'm
know,
just
out of
joking.
friendship. I
Out of
guess.
friendship, right? I'd like to be vegan. I should be vegan. If you can do it, I could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, not that you're not that you're not incredibly strong character.
I don't know if
What's
I
your
am or
sister
not.
say about you? That you're willful, or not willful, but you're strong, or
I don't remember.
you're disciplined. You're disciplined.
Yes, I am disciplined.
Yes, you're very disciplined.
But on the other hand, I know that there are probably eggs in the cookies, so I'm not, a fanatic.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So you're doing it more for health reasons than spiritual reasons?
Health reason, yes, but the idea of murdering animals, I love them so much.
Yeah, and
So
I think maybe like we look back on slavery now as being an abomination. I think that maybe in
Or
100
cannibalism,
years.
for instance, even before slavery, cannibalism. Can I go wee all the way home?
You want to go to use the bathroom? By all means, yes.
Yes,
Sure.
thank
I'll
you.
be here. I'm not
And
going anywhere.
don't go anywhere.
I'm not going
Just stay
anywhere. I'll
right
drink
here,
my coffee.
because otherwise I'd have an identity crisis.
Feel refreshed?
Relieved.
Okay, good. Well, you're very generous to let me draw your portrait. I really appreciate it.
Wow.
I can't wait till I can put on Instagram and stuff and go, oh, look, you drew Raymond.
Instagram. Why don't they just have one thing,
Because
like email, and you put all that stuff on email?
Instagram is different. Because email, you have to like write it to people and send it to people, whereas Instagram, you put it whoever you want, and whoever wants to look at it can look at it.
Oh,
I mean, I've got strangers commenting on my drawings.
I see. Well, I suppose that's.
A lot of people trying to promote themselves using
I'm sure.
Instagram. Everyone's trying to promote themselves,
Well, that's true. Yeah.
especially in this late capitalist society where you have
This.
to.
One person I know, this Russian pianist. Did I tell you about him?
A little bit, but tell me more.
That he made a recording of he was the accompanist for a violinist of some secondary composer. But I heard in his playing that he was a great
Right,
artist.
okay.
Yeah.
I think I know who
You
this
know
is
all
now.
that
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. No.
So he's on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff.
You sort of have to be these days.
I guess you have to be.
I mean, if you were still doing your career, you'd be working Facebook.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
but I hired a publicist to do all that.
Right, well, your publicist would do that then.
Yeah.
But for the poor of us, those of us who don't have enough money to pay a publicist.
Yeah, well, at that time we had a lot of money, and she was wonderful. And at the
Bet.
same time, her husband died of cancer. I broke up with the love of my life.
Oh my.
And Alex was about 20 years older than I was. She was a very wonderful person. And so Joe died, her husband, and Dennis left me, my boyfriend.
Uh-huh.
And so it was Christmas time.
Oh my.
And so we went on a cruise together.
Oh nice.
And we had a wonderful, and we
Did you
struck
get
up
hammered? Were you drinking then or no?
not very
Imbibing?
much.
Okay.
Not very much. I never.
You never
overdrank.
were a drinker?
No. So anyway, we became fast friends.
Nice.
And then I won the Geneva competition. And
What's that?
it's an international music performing competition. And it's a lot of money and a lot of fame.
Oh nice.
And
Great.
you get hired all over the world. So we won.
Great.
And she said, she told me, I called her from Geneva, and I said, we won first prize.
Wow. amazing.
And she said, now you just don't sit there, you go to the Associated Press office. And she gave me the address and all that. So I spent the next day in Geneva going to all the newspaper things that she told me to go to. And then she arranged for the New York Times to do article about it,
Uh-huh.
a very big one with a big picture and all that.
Great.
And she did it all for free. And she stopped charging me because we
Wow.
were friends.
Uh-huh.
And then, she's 20 years older than I am,
Mm-hmm.
and fat. All my women friends were fat. She decided we were going to get married.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yes.
And
She said, you know, if I ever get married, then I'm going to get married in the Bois de Boulogne.
Bora Bologna, that's where she wanted to get married. Where did you
Yes.
want to get married?
Well, of course I didn't want to get married. And we went to all the social things together, and that was 3-4 times a week.
Uh-huh.
And one day I went to pick her up.
She had a
There-
white dress on.
Say
I'm
it
sorry.
again.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
A what kind
It's your
of dress?
story. A white dress.
White?
White lacy dress.
No, she had a gown on.
Okay.
We were going to a fancy party.
Okay.
And so I put my arms around her and kissed her on the cheek and said, "Hi, Alex, let's go." And she said, "When are you going to give me a real kiss?" And that was the end. That was the end of it. And, you know, I said, I'm not interested in that kind of thing. But she got hateful.
Oh, well, yeah. It's hard being rejected. Just do me a favor. Don't talk for a minute so I can draw your mouth. How's that? You don't have to keep it all like that either. You just relax.
Don't know how to relax.
I know, that's true. Oh. Your mouth doesn't look like the way I have it drawn. Oh, well. Fix your mouth, would you? No, I'm kidding.
I've been told, shut my mouth. I've
No,
heard that.
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to. I didn't.
I'm sorry I can't
Matt,
do
you're doing
whatever.
great. You're doing great. You are a great model.
I'm a terrible model. All the famous photographers in New York, when they did publicity pictures of us,
They hated you.
they said I was the most difficult subject they'd ever had.
Really? That's something to be proud of.
Kristen Steiner, did you know him?
I don't know anything about photographers.
And Jack somebody or other, he was very famous.
Okay, you can talk now.
Okay, so anyway,
So what you never talk about Dennis. Tell me about Dennis.
he was an Episcopal priest. He was in
Oh.
a seminary when we were together.
Uh-huh.
And
Where'd you meet him?
at a party.
Mm-hmm.
He played the organ. He was a very wonderful organist, and he went to Juilliard too and got a degree in harpsichord. So he had a lot of musical.
He had a lot of
friends.
things going on,
Yes, he did.
He had a lot
was a
going
very
on.
brilliant person.
clearly.
And my mezzo in my ensemble sang in his church choir, and she had the party, and he was there.
Nice.
And we started talking, and I started asking because he had a collar on.
Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh.
And I'm interested in religion, and we started about
Right.
why is the suffering, blah, blah, blah. We had a
Uh-huh,
wonderful
uh-huh,
talk, and I saw we were interested in each other. And so I said, would you like to come and look at my icons? And we both burst out laughing.
Uh-huh.
So he came over, and we started having this beautiful affair. It was
Mm-hmm.
really wonderful. And I remember we were sitting on the couch one time, and I had my feet up, socks on, and he held me by the ankle, because he was on the other side of the and he said, you know, I love you.
Aw.
And I thought, oh, well, I found the person.
Uh-huh. You found the one or
Yes.
whatever. Uh-huh.
And it was beautiful for a while.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know, maybe, I don't know why he grew to dislike me.
Hmm.
And
Did he tell you why, or did he just
Oh, no.
bolt?
No. He just withdrew little by little
Yeah,
by
okay.
little. And that was how it was.
Yeah. That's
Now
hard.
he's dead. I
Oh,
looked him
really?
up on and he became horrible looking. He had rather dark golden hair.
Hmm.
And he was little. And
Uh-huh.
I like little.
Mm-hmm.
And rather childlike, and I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and he learned all the Goldberg variations
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
for me because he had a harpsichord in his house.
Oh, wow.
And so he liked that, and he also conducted the choir at an Episcopal church. And
So was he was an Episcopal priest, even though he was a Polish Jew?
Yes, and he was a choir director as well as a priest. And
Did that mean he had like forced? He had split. I mean, was he Jewish or was he Catholic? I mean, Christian. Not that you have to be one or the other.
he was converted to the Episcopal Church
Okay.
and committed to it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I was arrogant, and so was he,
Uh huh.
and we were both full of ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh huh.
And I remember, and he knew a lot about theology and things like that. But
Well, being
we
a priest
went,
and all that. So.
yes, but we went out to the country and stayed in some country home once.
Uh-huh.
One of his rich Episcopal friends, and we were by ourselves. They weren't there.
Right.
And we were looking at the stars, and there were a couple of shooting stars, and he thought shooting stars were real stars.
Uh huh. Not meteorites.
Yeah. So I rather
Laughed at him?
Yeah.
Not
And I
him.
was very arrogant. That was one of my things too. I
Uh-huh.
had to be better than everybody.
Yeah. I hear.
So anyway, it didn't last, and he
Mm.
began to pull away, and I didn't want him to.
No. Why would you? Why would you?
So I hung on and did all the Al-Anon stuff.
Really?
I did.
Like what? What's the Al-Anon stuff? I know that. I know
People
this.
pleasing, trying to control, trying to make him see this way or that way,
Mm.
trying to make me look in a certain light to him, all those Al-Anon things. And no letting go ever entered my head.
Yeah.
And it took me about 10 years to get over him.
Uh huh. Yeah. Makes sense.
Mhm.
Especially if you thought he was like the one or the.
I did.
Yeah.
I thought he was the one. But his views were terrible,
His views. What I mean, what politically or what?
and religiously and all
Oh.
that kind of thing. And there they go again. That's my favorite tune.
Dun, 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 dun.
So, yes, anyway, it certainly didn't work out.
I'm sorry to hear that. How long did it last, though?
2 years.
Oh, that's not bad. Still.
Yeah.
I mean, considering.
Yes. But then he got fat and he drank a lot. And then he
This
got
is before you went into.
program.
Uh-huh.
And then he got multiple sclerosis.
Oy, Gavalt.
And
He
he
should have
drank
done.
and
He would have done
smoked.
better to stay around with you.
Yeah.
Boy, he made better.
I was
that.
willing to give up my career to take care of him.
Right. I know you would have.
Yeah, how about that for codependent? So anyway,
I would have resented him. though.
he got fat and ugly and bloated and all that. I looked him up on
On the
Google,
Facebook.
Google. I just Googled his name
Right. And he turned
and a
out to be
picture of
fat,
this person. I
disabled.
couldn't believe that was Dennis. And then it also said he died 2 years ago. So. But I guess that was the love of my life. So Alex and I met around that, became close at that time because she lost her
Ah,
husband.
yes.
Yeah.
But you haven't talked to Alex since then, or what?
She's dead.
She's dead too, right? Well, that makes sense. But you didn't talk to her after she.
Oh,
said
well,
we
no,
had to
we
kiss me
went
in
on
real
and
time.
on. And but that she was doing all this work for me for free.
Right. Well, but
And then sooner or later she got angry that I wasn't responding. to
showing
all
up the
this
way
stuff.
she wanted you to.
And so she's made some comment about, look at all I've done for you. And that meant she couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
guess I could have begun to pay her again, but somehow that was it. And so I
It's hard to
drew
go
away.
backwards.
And I went to this terrible therapist. Every time I followed his suggestion, I've regretted it. But he said, you don't need her anymore. Why don't you just dump her? And she was a good friend. She squabbled with everybody all the time, but she was a good friend.
Mm-hmm.
And I did. I dropped her. And she wrote and said, ask why.
And you never
And I
answered?
talked it over to Jim with the analyst, and he said,
Analyst is different than therapist, but anyhow. go ahead.
Therapists, whatever they are. He said, well, why don't you just tell her what you told me? Which is terrible. That I had told her, you know, that I was always friends with older women, and that I didn't want to do it anymore.
Well, as you told me, you're just not into women.
Well, yes, that too.
That's no small part of it.
So anyway, I wrote what Jim Spingarn suggested I write, my therapist. Terrible thing, and that was the absolute end of a beautiful friendship.
And she's dead.
She's dead. Yeah,
Go
she's
put
20 years
flower-
older than
She'll
I.
put flowers on her grave.
No, I don't know where the grave is, and she was a publicist, and she publicized how she felt about everything.
Oh, really?
Including me.
Wow, this is before
So
Facebook
that
too, man.
Raymond,
Oh, man.
yeah, Raymond was using me and
Wow, you know,
leading me on.
you gotta let yourself be used to get used.
So anyway, her daughter, who is a famous newspaper person in England, because she fled mom, and
Yeah.
when Alex died, I went to her funeral,
Of course.
and I stood in line and looked at Victoria and said, you know, I loved your mother very deeply, and I will miss her. And she gave me.
Look like, yeah, you're the one who fucking drove her to the
Yeah.
grave. Just
So yeah, well, I'm sure
No, I'm sure
Alex
you did.
gave her an earful. And then a couple of years later, Victoria contacted my friend Julie, who's also dead. Everybody I know is dead. You know, all my world is gone. And Julie said to me that Victoria told her that Victoria was rude to me at the funeral, and she regretted it because there were, you know, letters and recordings and things like that for Alex, and I'm sure she had gone over them.
Wait, so there are letters and recordings. What do you mean?
Exchanges of Alex and me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So anyway,
Okay, anytime now you want to quit, we quit.
I'll do whatever you want.
Doesn't,
As
it
long
doesn't
as
look like you.
Leonardo painted Mona Lisa for 7 years.
You put your glasses on.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay.
I don't see any of my personality. Yeah, maybe a little.
No, I don't see much of it either.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, there we go. No, it doesn't have any personality at all. Want a copy?
But that